Welcome to the Parenting Brief. I'm your host, Jessica Stewart Gonzalez, an Arizona working mom and chief of the Office of Children's Health at the Arizona Department of Health Services. This show brings parents with kiddos under 5 tips and advice to help families stay safe while spending quality time with their little ones. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Parenting Brief. In Season 1, we talked about every parent's dream, getting your child to sleep. That episode covered the ABCs of safe sleep. That stands for alone, on their back, and in a crib. Today, we're focused on the C of the ABCs, the crib, and safe sleep practices. We'll discuss what's okay to go in the crib and what needs to be kept out. Things like your kid's favorite bottle, fluffy blankets, and tiny toys that are often in the room during the day should be put away for bedtime. Our guest today shares everything parents need to know to make sure the crib is a safe place for your kiddo to dream in. Joining us today to teach us about bedtime and crib safety is Yomaira Castillo. She is the Injury Prevention Manager at the Arizona Department of Health Services. Thanks for coming back on the show, Yomi.
Thank you for having me, Jessica.
So what is okay for parents to put in a crib so that their little ones can sleep comfortably and safely?
So the only thing you should be putting in a crib is the baby and a nice fitted sheet in the crib. There should be nothing else besides that. And obviously the baby in a wearable sleep sack, if you have that, or even just a onesie. That way there's nothing else in the crib.
And what about like being swaddled in a blanket or something like that? I know you said like the sleep sack, but does that count as the same thing if a blanket is being utilized?
If you're going to swaddle baby, which most parents do because you want them to be nice and comfortable, right? But once they are able to unswaddle themselves, then the rule should really be, and what we read and know is that you want to put them in something that is going to cover them if that's what you're looking for, so that they can't put anything over their face. Most babies, they'll move and they'll push something up onto them. And that's what we're trying to avoid so that they're not rebreathing that air. So swaddling is okay up until the time that they can unswaddle themselves. Then I would definitely go with something like a wearable blanket or a sleep sack, something of that nature.
And what about utilizing or having also in the crib like a binky or a pacifier, some type of, like self-soothing item?
That's a great question. So most babies, when they're going to be put down, that's how they self-soothe, right? And that's what we're hoping for, is that they learn how to go to sleep on their own. If they start off with the pacifier or a binky, and that's how they fall asleep, leave it in. Don't take it out. And if they happen to push it out, then just remove it, once they're done. But don't try to put it back in, because then you're probably going to wake them if they're nice and comfortable. And that's what we're really trying to get to. So definitely okay once you lay them down. And then after, if they push it out, then you can just remove it.
I know that when utilizing, blankets or pillows or those types of things, also to try and help regulate temperature and making sure that the baby is, warm, but not too warm and not cold. How do you really manage and balance that when the recommendation is to not put anything into the crib?
So, I know parents do struggle with this. And what I can tell you is babies they're going to be comfortable if you're comfortable. So if you're warm, then you're probably going to turn the AC up or a fan of some sort just to get the air circulating or whatnot. And if they're cold, then you're probably going to turn the heater on to make it a little bit warmer in the room. And that's really what people are really wanting you to do. We really want you to not put anything into the crib or into the pack and play, if you will, whatever it is that you're using, as long as it's their own sleeping environment. So really, if you can, work on the temperature of the room, of the home, wherever it is that you're living, to make sure if you're comfortable, then baby will probably also be comfortable. We don't want to overdress because then you're going to overheat, and then that's another issue. So really keeping the room or the home as comfortable as possible for all parties involved.
So as opposed to trying to match baby to the temperature, try and match the temperature to the baby.
To the baby, yes, that's ideal.
You talk about this idea of like not rebreathing in their air. And I think that a lot of parents have this idea like, oh, well, they can't be smothered by something. They're not going to suffocate, because the blanket is a light-weighted blanket. There's not enough weight on it to make it so that it would make the baby suffocate. But you're using these other, words and terms that indicate that like the weight of the item is not actually necessarily the concern, but really just having that lack of flow of oxygen and clean air movement is one of the risk factors.
It is. And so people don't always realize that. I can't say this enough. You want them alone on their back in their own sleeping environment or crib. And so just because something is light doesn't mean it's not going to cause harm. And so we want anything that can do that, just not within their sleeping environment. And I think that's part of the misconception, and that's why people will continue to do that unless you really follow these simple rules alone on their back in a crib.
Is it safe to purchase a used crib, pack and play, bassinet?
I would really caution people to do that. It's kind of like the same concept as a car seat. You want to know the history, right? You want to know if it's ever been involved with anything, making sure that, there's no defects on it, that everything is still working properly. So if you're trusting that you're getting it from, say, a great family friend versus the neighbor that lives 3 houses down that you barely even see, I would just caution you, making sure that you know where it's coming from, that you know the history, that it's never been broken or there's no missing parts. So really making sure that you know some of that information before you put your little one into this precious, safe sleeping environment. Because, we all want to keep our baby safe.
Where and how can families access their own sleeping environment, a safe sleep environment, like a crib or a pack and play or a bassinet? Is there somewhere families can go if they don't have the means to be able to purchase a brand new one?
I would encourage anyone that's looking for somewhere, a safe sleep environment. A lot of our partners within the local county health departments have some. Some of our hospital partners have some. We don't necessarily hand them out at the department, but if you need somewhere, I can refer you to somewhere if you're looking up, depending upon where in the state of Arizona you're located. So definitely keep that in mind. Safe Kids coalitions from around the state also have them. We have a lot of great partners at the table. And so even some of our sister agencies are providing them now as well. So, give us a call, shoot me an email if you're looking for somewhere, and I can certainly direct you to that information or to one of our partners from around the state that has product to be able to provide the education and the resources, because we're always going to want to provide education prior to just giving you a product. And that comes with anything that the state health department does.
Thank you, Yomi, for sharing your expertise. And if you want to learn more about episodes from past seasons and to stay up to date when new episodes air, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. If you know a friend or family member with a little one, please share this episode with them. Until next time, this is Jessica. You've got this.